Ryan Cole's hands trembled as he stared at the divorce papers on his kitchen counter, except they weren't his. They belonged to the billionaire woman next door, the same one he'd just been matched with for tonight's blind date. The same woman who'd watched him fall apart after his wife died. The same woman who'd helped his daughter with homework while building a corporate empire worth more than his entire neighborhood combined. And in 3 hours, he was supposed to pretend he didn't know any of this while sitting across from her at Giuseppe's downtown. But before we dive into this story, if you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this tale travels. Hit that like button and stick around until the end, because what happens between these two neighbors will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about second chances. The matchmaking app notification had arrived on a Tuesday. Ryan almost deleted it. He'd downloaded the damn thing 6 months ago during a particularly brutal bout of insomnia, filled out half a profile, then forgotten about it entirely. But there it was, glowing against the cracked screen of his iPhone. Congratulations, we found your perfect match. Date scheduled for Friday, 7 p.m., Giuseppe's Ristorante. Dad, your phone's making noise again. Chloe stood in the doorway of his bedroom wearing mismatched socks and a SpongeBob t-shirt that had seen better days. 8 years old and already carrying that look, the one that said she'd learned too early that life didn't always play fair. It's nothing, sweetheart, just spam. You always say that. She picked at a loose thread on her shirt. Mrs. Patterson says you need to start dating again. I heard her tell Mrs. Kim at the grocery store. Ryan felt his jaw tighten. Wonderful. His love life, or spectacular lack thereof, was apparently neighborhood entertainment now. Mrs. Patterson needs to mind her own business. She also said you've been wearing the same jacket for 4 years and it's getting embarrassing. Despite everything, Ryan smiled. Go brush your teeth. School in 30 minutes. She didn't move. Would it be okay if you went on a date? The question landed like a punch. Ryan set his phone down and studied his daughter's face. She had her mother's eyes, that specific shade of hazel that shifted between green and gold depending on the light. He'd been avoiding those eyes for 3 years. We're doing fine, Chloe. Just you and me. That's not what I asked. 8 going on 30. Ryan exhaled slowly. I don't know, kiddo. I honestly don't know. She nodded like that was the answer she'd expected, then disappeared down the hallway. Ryan heard the bathroom door close, heard the water running. He picked up his phone again. The profile photo showed just enough. Brunette, bright smile, professionally shot but not overly polished. The bio was minimal. Vanessa, 30, CEO, looking for something real, no games. CEO. Great. Ryan glanced around his bedroom, laundry piling up in the corner, water stain on the ceiling he kept meaning to fix, furniture from IKEA's discount section. He was a freelance graphic designer who worked from home in sweatpants. What the hell would he even talk about with the CEO? He almost canceled right then. The thing that stopped him was pathetic, really. It was Tuesday morning, and he'd just realized he couldn't remember the last time he'd looked forward to anything. Not in a genuine, stomach-fluttering, maybe something good could happen kind of way. Just the endless rotation of school drop-offs, client deadlines, microwave dinners, and Netflix binges after Chloe went to bed. 3 years of that. 3 years of maintaining. Fuck it, Ryan thought. One dinner. What's the worst that could happen? But Friday arrived faster than he wanted. Ryan stood in front of his closet trying to remember how dating worked. Did people still do flowers? Was that too much? Not enough? He'd been with Sarah since college. The last time he'd gone on an actual first date, people still used MySpace. You look nervous. Vanessa Hart stood at her kitchen window next door, visible through the gap in their fence. She was holding a coffee mug and wearing running gear that probably cost more than his car payment. First date in a while, Ryan admitted, trying to sound casual. They'd been neighbors for 2 years. Their relationship consisted mainly of friendly waves, occasional small talk about the weather, and that one time she'd returned his wallet after it fell out of his pocket during a late-night garbage run. She'd shown up at his door at midnight during a snowstorm, wallet in hand, refusing his awkward offer of a reward. Anyone special? Vanessa asked. Blind date, actually. Don't even know what she looks like. Something flickered across Vanessa's face. an expression Ryan couldn't quite read. Well, you clean up nice. She's lucky. Yeah, we'll see. I'm probably going to screw it up somehow. Doubt that. Vanessa smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Have fun, Ryan. She disappeared back into her house before he could respond. Ryan checked his watch. 5 hours until he had to leave. 5 hours to figure out how to be a normal human being who went on dates and made conversation and didn't randomly spiral into grief in the middle of dinner. Easy. Tet. Giuseppe's was the kind of place Ryan never went. Dim lighting, cloth napkins, wine list longer than the food menu. He arrived 10 minutes early because his mother had drilled punctuality into him, then immediately regretted it because now he had to sit there alone feeling like an imposter. The hostess seated him at a corner booth. Your date should be here shortly. Can I start you with something to drink? Water's fine, thanks. She gave him a look that suggested water wasn't fine, actually. Not at a place where entrees started at $45, but she didn't push it. Ryan pulled out his phone. No new messages. He opened the dating app again, studied the profile photo. Vanessa, CEO. Something real. He wondered what something real even meant anymore. In his experience, real meant complicated. Real meant messy. Real meant loving someone so completely that losing them could derail your entire existence. Real could destroy you. Ryan? He looked up. The world tilted. Vanessa Hart stood beside his table wearing a navy dress that somehow made her look both powerful and vulnerable. Her hair was different, down instead of pulled back like he usually saw it. She wore minimal makeup, diamond studs in her ears that caught the restaurant's low light. His neighbor, his blind date, the same woman he'd talked to in his backyard 5 hours ago. Oh my God, Vanessa breathed. Ryan, the profile didn't show. They stared at each other. Ryan's brain had completely stalled out. The hostess appeared oblivious. Wonderful. Can I get you started with drinks? Neither of them answered. Or I could give you a moment? The hostess retreated. Vanessa hadn't moved. This is insane. You're the CEO. You're the graphic designer. We're neighbors. I brought your wallet back in a snowstorm. You helped Chloe with her science project. They were just stating facts now, like if they listed enough mundane details, this situation would start making sense. I should go, Vanessa said quietly. This is too weird. We can just pretend this never happened. Wait. Ryan stood up too quickly, nearly knocking his water glass over. Don't, please. She paused. Ryan? We're already here. The reservation's made. We both got dressed up. He gestured helplessly at the restaurant around them. And honestly, I've been dreading this all week because I thought I'd have to make small talk with a stranger, but you're not a stranger, so maybe this could actually be easier? Vanessa's expression softened slightly. Or exponentially more awkward. Probably that too. A genuine smile broke through her composure. You're really bad at this, aren't you? Catastrophically bad. I almost wore a tie, Vanessa. A tie. I don't even own a tie anymore. I had to borrow one from my neighbor across the street. Mr. Peterson? The one who's like 80? He has good taste. She laughed. Actually laughed. And something in Ryan's chest unclenched slightly. Okay, Vanessa said. Okay, let's try this. But we're establishing ground rules. I'm listening. First, we acknowledge this is bizarre, like acknowledged. Second, if either of us wants to leave, we can. No hard feelings. Deal. Third, she hesitated. We don't talk about this with the other neighbors. Mrs. Patterson would have a field day. Ryan grinned. Oh God, she absolutely would. Vanessa slid into the booth across from him. The hostess materialized again, this time with menus and a knowing smile that suggested she'd seen weirder. So, Ryan said once they were alone again. CEO, huh? You left that part out of our fence conversations. You never asked what I did for a living. I assumed you were in finance or something. You wear a lot of blazers. Hart Technologies. We develop AI solutions for healthcare systems. Vanessa opened her menu without really looking at it. And you're a graphic designer who works from home and occasionally forgets to move his car on street cleaning days. You notice that? Your Civic has 3 parking tickets on the dashboard. Ryan felt his face heat. I keep meaning to pay those. Uh-huh. The waiter arrived. Vanessa ordered wine, something Italian that Ryan had never heard of. He ordered the same because pretending he knew anything about wine seemed worse than just admitting ignorance. Can I ask you something? Vanessa said once they were alone again. Sure. Why did you sign up for the app? Ryan took a long breath. Honesty or deflection? Deflection was safer. Deflection was what he'd been doing for 3 years. But something about sitting across from Vanessa, someone who'd seen him at his worst, seen him drag trash bins to the curb in ratty pajamas, seen him lose it when Chloe locked herself out of the house, made lying feel pointless. I was lonely, he said quietly. It was 3 a.m, and I couldn't sleep, and I've been lonely for a really long time, and I thought maybe if I put myself out there, even just a little bit, something might change. Vanessa's eyes stayed on his. Did it? I don't know yet. The wine arrived. They both took sips that were probably too large to be considered sophisticated. My turn, Ryan said. Why did you sign up? Vanessa turned her glass slowly, watching the wine catch the light. Similar reasons, different circumstances. I got divorced 2 years ago. I didn't know you were married. We kept it quiet. He was in tech too. Thought we'd build an empire together. Turns out he was more interested in my company's valuation than me. She smiled, but it was sharp around the edges. The divorce was finalized 3 months before I moved in next door to you. I'm sorry. Don't be. Best thing that could have happened. But it made me realize I'd spent my entire adult life being valued for what I could provide, not who I actually was. She met his eyes. So yeah, the app. Looking for something real, whatever that means. They ordered food. The conversation shifted to safer territory. Chicago winters, terrible reality TV shows, the construction that had been disrupting their street for 6 weeks. But underneath the casual topics, Ryan felt something else building, a current of recognition. You know what's strange? Vanessa said as their entrees arrived. We've been neighbors for 2 years. We've had dozens of conversations. But I know more about you now after 20 minutes than I learned in all that time. Fence conversations don't really go deep. No, they don't. She cut into her chicken carefully. I knew you were a single dad. I knew you worked from home. I knew you were kind to your daughter, and you always remembered to wave good morning. But I didn't know you were lonely. I didn't know you were brave enough to try something that scared you. Brave is generous. Desperate is probably more accurate. Same thing sometimes. Ryan took a bite of his pasta. It was objectively delicious and probably worth the obscene price tag, but he could barely taste it. His entire nervous system was focused on the woman across from him. Can I tell you something without it being weird? He asked. Given that this entire evening is already weird, sure. The morning I got the notification about this date, you were in your kitchen window, and I remember thinking you looked sad, just for a second. Then you smiled, and it was gone. Vanessa's fork paused halfway to her mouth. I didn't think anyone noticed that. I noticed more than I probably should. I was sad, she admitted. I'd just gotten off a call with my ex. He wanted to discuss our remaining shared assets. Very romantic conversation about stock options and property division. She set her fork down. Some days are harder than others. Yeah, Ryan said quietly. They really are. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. The restaurant hummed around them. Soft jazz, quiet conversations, the clink of silverware against porcelain. Ryan tried to remember the last time he'd sat in a place this nice. His wedding, maybe? Or Sarah's birthday the year before she got sick. You're thinking about her, Vanessa said. It wasn't a question. How did you know? Your whole face changed. You went somewhere else for a second. Ryan set down his fork. Is that okay? If I think about her sometimes? Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Because I'm on a date with you. Ryan, Vanessa leaned forward slightly. Your wife died. You don't just turn that off. Anyone who expects you to is an idiot. Something in his chest cracked a little. Most people don't get that. Most people are idiots. He smiled despite himself. Fair point. What was her name? Sarah? Tell me about her if you want to. Ryan hesitated. This felt like dangerous territory, but Vanessa's expression was open, genuine. No pity, no discomfort, just curiosity. She was a teacher, he began slowly. 4th grade, she loved it. Used to come home exhausted every day and still have stories about her kids. The funny things they said, the progress they made. She had this ridiculous laugh that was way too loud for someone her size. And she made the world's worst coffee. Like truly terrible. But I never told her because she was so proud of it. Vanessa smiled. How long were you together? 12 years total, married for 7. She had ovarian cancer. By the time they caught it, he trailed off. It was fast. 11 months from diagnosis to, I'm sorry. Thank you. Ryan picked up his wine glass, set it back down without drinking. Chloe was 5 when it happened. Some days I'm not sure if she really remembers her mom or if she just remembers the stories I tell her. That must be terrifying. It is. Ryan looked up. How did you know that? Because if I lost someone that important, I'd be terrified of them disappearing twice. Once in reality, once in memory. Nobody had ever articulated it quite like that before. Ryan felt something shift in his chest. A loosening of tension he'd been carrying so long he'd forgotten it was there. Your turn, he said. Tell me something real. Vanessa considered this. I haven't been on a date in 8 months. I kept canceling them. I'd get ready, do my hair, put on something nice, and then I'd just sit in my car in the parking lot and leave. I did that 4 times before I stopped trying. What made tonight different? I don't know. Maybe because I'd already decided I wasn't going to cancel. I made myself a deal. Show up for 30 minutes, then reassess. If it was terrible, I had an out. She shook her head. But then I walked in and saw you and my entire brain short-circuited. In a good way or bad way? Still figuring that out. The waiter returned, cleared their plates, suggested dessert. They both declined. The meal was winding down. Soon they'd have to leave this bubble and return to being neighbors who waved over fences. Ryan didn't want the evening to end. Walk with me? He asked as they stepped outside into Chicago's spring air. There's a park 2 blocks over, unless you need to get back. Vanessa pulled out her phone, checked something, then slid it back into her purse. I cleared my whole evening. Figured if this went well, I wouldn't want to rush it. And if it went badly, I'd need time to process my life choices. Which is it? She smiled. Still figuring that out too. They walked side by side down Michigan Avenue. The city was alive around them. Couples holding hands, tourists taking photos, street musicians playing for spare change. Ryan kept his hands in his pockets, hyper-aware of the space between them. Can I ask you something potentially invasive? Vanessa said. After that dinner? Go for it. Why haven't you dated in 3 years? Ryan had known this question was coming. He'd been asking himself the same thing for months. Lots of reasons. Chloe, grief, fear. He watched his breath mist in the cool air. But mostly, I convinced myself I didn't deserve to. Like if I moved on, if I found happiness again, it would mean Sarah's death didn't matter, that I didn't love her enough. That's not how love works. I know that now, logically. But there's a difference between knowing something and feeling it. They reached the park, a small green space tucked between buildings, surprisingly empty for a Friday night. A fountain burbled in the center, benches lined winding paths. Vanessa sat down on one of the benches. Ryan joined her, leaving a careful foot of space between them. I told myself similar things, Vanessa said. Different situation, same logic. I thought if I dated again, if I opened myself up to someone, I was just setting myself up for another disaster. Better to stay closed off, stay safe. How's that working out for you? Terrible. I'm lonely as hell, and I spend Friday nights reviewing quarterly reports. She laughed softly. My therapist keeps telling me I'm choosing safety over happiness. Mine says the same thing. You're in therapy? Mandated it for myself after Chloe's teacher pulled me aside last year, said she was worried about her. Turned out I wasn't the only one stuck in grief. Ryan rubbed his face. Worst conversation of my life. Well, second worst. What was the worst? Telling my daughter her mom died? Vanessa reached over and took his hand. The gesture was simple, spontaneous. Her skin was warm against his. I can't imagine, she said quietly. They sat like that for a while, hands linked, watching the fountain, listening to the city hum around them. Ryan tried to remember the last time he'd held hands with someone. Not a friendly squeeze, not a comforting pat. Actually holding hands with intent and meaning. Years, literal years. "This is nice," he said finally. "It is. Also terrifying. Also that." Vanessa turned to look at him. In the park's soft lighting, her face seemed younger, more open. "What happens now, Ryan? We can't exactly go back to being just neighbors who wave over the fence." "No, we really can't." "So what do we do?" Ryan thought about this. The practical part of his brain, the part that had kept him functioning for 3 years, screamed at him to slow down, to be careful, to protect himself and Chloe from potential hurt. But another part, smaller and quieter, whispered something different. "We try," he said. "We take it slow. We figure it out as we go. And if it gets complicated or weird or too much, we talk about it like adults instead of just disappearing." "I can work with that." "Yeah?" "Yeah." She squeezed his hand. "But you should know something. I'm not good at this, at dating, at being vulnerable. I'm much better at board meetings and hostile takeovers. And you should know I'm a mess. I have a kid who's still processing trauma. I work from home in sweatpants. My idea of a wild Friday night is getting through a full movie without falling asleep." "Sounds perfect." They smiled at each other, two broken people sitting on a park bench, holding hands, tentatively reaching for something neither of them was sure they deserved. Ryan's phone buzzed. He checked it with his free hand. "Chloe. Did she show up?" He typed back one-handed. "She did. It's going okay." "Chloe. Are you going to see her again?" Ryan glanced at Vanessa. "My daughter wants to know if I'm going to see you again." "What are you telling her?" "I don't know." "What's the answer?" Vanessa leaned closer. For a second, Ryan thought she might kiss him. His heart rate spiked, but instead she rested her forehead gently against his. "Yes," she whispered. "Tell her yes." Ryan typed the message. His daughter sent back a string of emojis that he was too old to fully understand, followed by, "Don't stay out too late." "She's giving me a curfew," Ryan said. "Smart kid." "She really is." They sat in the park until the temperature dropped and Vanessa started shivering. Ryan offered his jacket. She declined but moved closer, letting their shoulders touch. "I should probably get home," she said reluctantly. "I have an early call with Singapore tomorrow, and I have an 8-year-old who's going to want a full debrief." They stood, still holding hands. The walk back to their cars was quiet but comfortable. When they reached Giuseppe's parking lot, Vanessa pulled her keys from her purse. "So," she said, "this was unexpected." "Completely." "But good?" "Yeah, really good." She stepped closer. This time she did kiss him, soft and brief, just a brush of lips that ended before Ryan's brain could fully process what was happening. "Good night, Ryan." "Good night, Vanessa." He watched her drive away in a Tesla that probably cost more than his annual income. Then he sat in his own car for 10 minutes, trying to organize his thoughts into something coherent. His phone buzzed again. Not Chloe this time. A text from an unknown number. Unknown. "This is Vanessa. Got your number from the app. Just wanted to say thank you for not making tonight weird." Ryan smiled and saved her contact. Ryan. "Pretty sure we made it extremely weird, but in a good way." Vanessa. "The best way. Coffee tomorrow? There's a place near the park." 9 a.m. Ryan. "Chloe has soccer at 8. Can we do 10? Vanessa. "Perfect. It's a date, officially." Ryan. "See you then, neighbor." Vanessa. "See you then." Ryan drove home with the radio off, replaying the evening in his head. Part of him still couldn't quite believe it had happened. His neighbor, his blind date, the same person. The universe had a weird sense of humor. When he pulled into his driveway, he noticed Vanessa's living room light was on. She was probably getting ready for her early call or reviewing those quarterly reports she'd mentioned. CEO life. His own house was mostly dark except for Chloe's nightlight glowing in the upstairs window. Ryan let himself in quietly. He expected Chloe to be asleep, but she was sitting at the top of the stairs in her pajamas, waiting. "You're supposed to be in bed. You're supposed to tell me how it went." He climbed the stairs and sat beside her. "It went well." "Just well?" "Really well. Better than I expected." Chloe studied his face with an intensity that reminded him painfully of Sarah. "Do you like her?"
I think so. Maybe. It's complicated. Why? How did you explain adult complications to an 8-year-old? The weight of grief and guilt and fear and hope all tangled together?
Because liking someone new feels scary after losing mom, Ryan said carefully. It doesn't mean I love mom any less, but it still feels scary. Chloe leaned against his shoulder. Mrs. Patterson says mom would want you to be happy. Mrs. Patterson talks too much. But is she right? Ryan wrapped his arm around his daughter. Yeah, kiddo, she's right. They sat like that for a while, father and daughter on the stairs, the house quiet around them. Finally, Chloe yawned.
I'm glad it went well, she said sleepily. You smiled when you came in. You don't smile like that usually. Didn't realize you were keeping track. I always keep track. Ryan tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, turned off her light. In the hallway, he paused by the framed photo of Sarah, their wedding day, both of them young and happy, and completely unaware of what was coming. I met someone tonight, he said quietly to the photo. I don't know what it means yet, but I thought you should know. And I hope that's okay. The photo didn't answer. Photos never did. But standing there in the hallway of the house he'd shared with Sarah, the house where they'd brought Chloe home from the hospital, the house that held every memory of their life together, Ryan felt something shift. Not forgetting. Never forgetting.
But maybe, possibly, beginning to make room for something new. He went to bed that night and actually slept through until morning. The coffee shop at 10 a.m. on a Saturday was exactly what Ryan expected. Overcrowded, loud, smelling like burnt espresso and someone's overly sweet vanilla concoction. He arrived 5 minutes early, which meant he spent those 5 minutes second-guessing everything about his appearance. Was the flannel too casual? Should he have shaved? Did he look like he was trying too hard or not hard enough? Vanessa walked in wearing jeans and a bright red windbreaker, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, and Ryan's entire nervous system short-circuited again because she looked nothing like the polished CEO from last night, and somehow even better. You're staring, she said as she reached his table. Sorry, you look different. Different bad or different good? Just different. Normal? I mean, not that you're not normal, just... Ryan stopped himself. I'm going to shut up now. She laughed and slid into the seat across from him. For the record, you look different too. The flannel is very suburban dad. I am a suburban dad. Fair point. They ordered coffee, hers black, his with too much cream and sugar. The barista, a kid who couldn't have been older than 19, gave them a knowing smile that made Ryan want to crawl under the table. So, Vanessa said once they were alone, we're doing this. Apparently. How do you feel about that? Ryan wrapped his hands around his coffee cup. Terrified, excited, confused, all of it at once. Same. She took a sip, made a face. This coffee is terrible. It really is. Want to walk instead? There's a farmer's market a few blocks over. We could pretend we're normal people doing normal Saturday things. As opposed to neighbors who accidentally matched on a dating app. Exactly. They dumped their barely touched coffees and headed outside. The morning was cool but sunny, the kind of Chicago spring day that made you forget winter had ever happened. Vanessa fell into step beside him easily, their shoulders occasionally brushing. Can I ask you something? Ryan said. You're going to anyway. What were you actually looking for when you signed up for the app? Vanessa was quiet for a moment, watching the sidewalk pass beneath their feet. Honestly, I didn't know. I think I just wanted to feel like a regular person for a while. Not the CEO, not the divorcee, just Vanessa, figuring out if she still knew how to connect with someone. Did you figure it out? I'm starting to. They reached the farmer's market, a sprawling collection of white tents and vendor stalls selling everything from organic vegetables to handmade jewelry. The crowd was thick, but manageable. Ryan found himself unconsciously moving closer to Vanessa to avoid being separated. Chloe asked about me this morning? She asked as they browsed a table of fresh flowers. She wanted to know if you were nice. What did you tell her? That you're terrifying and probably plotting world domination. Vanessa picked up a bunch of sunflowers, examined them critically. Smart kid, she's not wrong. She also wanted to know if you'd come over for dinner sometime. That made Vanessa pause. She set the sunflowers down carefully. That's a big step.
Meeting the kid officially? I know. Too fast? I don't know. Maybe? She turned to face him fully. Ryan, I need to be honest about something. I'm not good with children. I don't have any. Most of my friends don't have any. My entire life is board meetings and business dinners and international calls at 3 a.m. I don't know how to exist in a world that involves bedtimes and homework and soccer practice. Nobody knows how at first. You just figure it out as you go. But what if I'm terrible at it? What if Chloe hates me?
Ryan studied her face. The vulnerability there was so different from the confidence she'd shown at dinner last night. This was the real Vanessa, uncertain, worried, trying to navigate something completely outside her expertise. She won't hate you, he said quietly. She already likes you. You helped her with that science project, remember? Something about volcanoes. She talked about it for weeks. That was different. That was neighbor help. This is... Vanessa trailed off. Complicated? I know. Ryan picked up the sunflowers she'd been holding. How about we buy these and you come over for dinner next Friday? No pressure, just the three of us. Pizza and a movie. If it's terrible, you never have to do it again. And if it's not terrible? Then we figure out the next step. Vanessa took a long breath. Okay. Friday, pizza, and a movie. Yeah? Yeah. She smiled, but it was tight around the edges. I'm going to be terrible at this, aren't I? Probably. I'm terrible at it too. We can be terrible together. They bought the sunflowers along with a container of fresh strawberries and some bread from a vendor who insisted on giving them relationship advice despite not being asked. By the time they escaped, both of them were trying not to laugh. Does everyone in this city have opinions about strangers' love lives? Vanessa asked. Apparently, Mrs. Patterson is going to lose her mind when she sees us together. Oh God, I didn't even think about the neighbors. Too late now. We've been spotted at a farmer's market holding sunflowers. We're basically engaged in their eyes. Vanessa nudged him with her elbow. One step at a time, Cole. They walked back toward their street slowly, neither of them in a rush to end the morning. Ryan felt lighter than he had in years. The guilt was still there. It would probably always be there. But for the first time, it wasn't the only thing he felt. I should probably let you get back to your Singapore call, he said as they reached their block. Rescheduled it. Told them I had a personal emergency. Am I a personal emergency? Jury's still out. They stopped at the fence between their properties, the same fence where they'd had dozens of meaningless conversations about weather and street cleaning schedules. Now it felt like a border between two countries negotiating new terms. Thank you for coffee, Vanessa said, even though it was terrible. Thank you for the terrible coffee. And the market. And the market. They were standing too close. Ryan could see the exact shade of her eyes in the morning light, hazel with flecks of gold. He wanted to kiss her again, properly this time, but Chloe was probably watching from a window somewhere, and this all felt too new, too fragile. Vanessa seemed to read his mind. Rain check on the kiss? You wanted to kiss me? Don't act surprised. You're not that oblivious. Ryan grinned. Friday. After pizza. It's a deal. She disappeared into her house. Ryan stood there for a moment, holding sunflowers and strawberries, feeling like a teenager who'd just gotten a girl's number. It was ridiculous. He was 32 years old with a mortgage and a kid, and 3 years of grief therapy under his belt. But damn, it felt good. Inside, Chloe was waiting at the kitchen table with her homework spread out in front of her. She looked up when he entered, eyes immediately going to the flowers. Those are nice. Vanessa and I went to the farmer's market. Is she coming over? Friday night, for dinner. Ryan set the flowers in water. That okay with you? Chloe chewed on her pencil, considering. What are we having? I was thinking pizza. Can we get the good kind from Antonio's, not the frozen stuff? We can get the good kind. Okay then. She went back to her homework like they'd just discussed the weather. But Ryan saw the small smile she was trying to hide. The week crawled by in a way that made Ryan feel 17 again. He caught himself checking his phone constantly for texts from Vanessa. They messaged throughout the day. Nothing deep, just small observations and jokes. She sent him a photo of a disastrous lunch meeting with the caption, "Board members are children in expensive suits." He sent her a picture of Chloe's latest art project with, I think it's supposed to be a dog, but I'm not sure. By Thursday night, Ryan was a nervous wreck. You're being weird, Chloe announced at dinner. I'm not being weird. You've checked your phone like 50 times. I'm expecting an important work email. From Vanessa? Ryan set his fork down. When did you get so observant? I've always been observant. You just never noticed because you were too busy being sad. The comment landed like a physical blow. Chloe said it matter-of-factly, without accusation, but that somehow made it worse. Chloe,
It's okay, Dad. I get it. She pushed peas around her plate. Mom died and you were sad. That makes sense, but you're not as sad now. That's good, right? Ryan moved around the table and pulled her into a hug. She was getting bigger. When had that happened? Soon she'd be too cool for hugs from her dad. It is good, he said quietly, and I'm sorry if I was too sad before. You deserved better. You were doing your best. She pulled back and looked at him seriously. Mrs. Patterson says everyone grieves differently and there's no right way to do it. Mrs. Patterson needs to stop discussing our family with you. She gives me cookies. That doesn't make it okay. Chloe grinned. But the cookies are really good.
Friday arrived with all the subtlety of a freight train. Ryan spent the morning cleaning the house. Actually cleaning, not just shoving things into closets. He changed his shirt 3 times. He made Chloe promise not to bring up anything embarrassing. Like what? She asked innocently. Like the time I tried to fix the sink and flooded the bathroom, or when I thought the smoke detector was broken but I'd just burned dinner, or I'm 8, not stupid, I know how to behave. Since when? She threw a pillow at him. Vanessa arrived at 6:30 carrying a bottle of wine and looking almost as nervous as Ryan felt. She'd changed clothes at least once. He could tell because she'd sent him a photo earlier asking if jeans were too casual, and now she was wearing black pants and a white sweater. Hi, she said. Hi. Ryan took the wine. You didn't have to bring anything. My mother would disown me if I showed up empty-handed. Your mother sounds intense. You have no idea. Chloe appeared from the living room, suddenly shy in a way Ryan had never seen. She hung back, half hidden behind the doorframe. Hey, Chloe, Vanessa said gently. Remember me? From the volcano project? Yeah, Chloe's voice was small. You knew about the baking soda reaction. I did. That was a good volcano. Very realistic eruption. I got an A. That's great. They stood there awkwardly. 3 people who didn't quite know how to be in the same room together for this new context. Ryan had a brief panicked thought that this was a terrible idea, and he should have waited longer and now everything was going to implode. Then Chloe said, Do you like pepperoni pizza? It's my favorite, Vanessa replied. Good. Dad was going to get mushroom, but I told him that was gross. Mushroom is very gross. Your dad has questionable taste. I know, right? Just like that, the tension broke. Ryan exhaled slowly as they moved into the kitchen. Chloe started chattering about school, about her teacher, about the hamster in her classroom that kept escaping. Vanessa listened with what seemed like genuine interest, asking questions, laughing at the right moments. The pizza arrived. They ate at the coffee table in the living room because the dining table was buried under Ryan's work files. Chloe picked off all her pepperonis and ate them first, which she always did. Vanessa noticed and started doing the same thing. You don't have to copy her, Ryan said. I'm not copying. This is clearly the superior way to eat pizza. Chloe beamed. They watched a Pixar movie that Ryan had seen approximately 400 times. Somewhere during the 3rd act, Chloe fell asleep leaning against Vanessa's shoulder. Vanessa froze, looking at Ryan with barely concealed panic. What do I do? She mouthed. Nothing. Just stay still. For how long? Until the movie ends. Vanessa looked like she'd been asked to defuse a bomb, but she didn't move. Ryan watched them, his daughter and this woman who'd walked into his life a week ago, and felt something dangerous blooming in his chest. Hope. Actual, genuine hope. When the credits rolled, Ryan carefully extracted Chloe and carried her upstairs. She mumbled something incoherent and wrapped her arms around his neck. He tucked her into bed, kissed her forehead, turned off the light. Downstairs, Vanessa was cleaning up pizza boxes and plates. You don't have to do that, Ryan said. I know, but I need something to do with my hands or I'm going to start overthinking everything that just happened. How do you think it went? She turned to face him, leaning against the kitchen counter.
Honestly, I have no idea. I've never done this before. Did I do okay? Was I too awkward? Did I ask too many questions? Not enough questions? Ryan closed the distance between them. You were perfect. I wasn't. Okay, you weren't perfect, but Chloe liked you. That's what matters. How do you know? Because she fell asleep on you. She doesn't do that with people she's uncomfortable around. Vanessa's expression softened. She's a good kid. She really is. They stood there in Ryan's kitchen, the same kitchen where he'd made bottles at 3 a.m. and packed school lunches and burned countless dinners. It felt surreal having Vanessa here, in this space that had been his and Chloe's alone for so long. I should probably go, Vanessa said, but she didn't move. Probably. It's late. It's 9:30. That's late for me. I'm usually in bed by 9 reading earnings reports. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. She smiled. My life is very glamorous, clearly. Ryan stepped closer. Rain check's over. Is it? Instead of answering, he kissed her. Not the brief, tentative kiss from the park. This was real, his hands finding her waist, her fingers threading through his hair, both of them leaning into it like they'd been waiting all week. When they broke apart, Vanessa's eyes were still closed. Okay, she breathed. That was, yeah. We should probably talk about what we're doing here. Do we have to? Right now? No. But eventually. She opened her eyes, met his gaze. I like you, Ryan. More than I expected to. And that terrifies me. Same. All of it. So where does that leave us? Ryan thought about this. A week ago, he'd been resigned to his quiet, careful life. Now he was standing in his kitchen kissing his neighbor while his daughter slept upstairs, and everything felt simultaneously perfect and precarious. How about we just keep doing this, he said. Dinner, movies, terrible coffee. We see where it goes. No expectations? No expectations. Just us, figuring it out. Vanessa nodded slowly. I can work with that. She left a few minutes later. Ryan watched from the window as she crossed to her own house, watched her lights turn on, watched her silhouette move past the windows. Then he went upstairs and checked on Chloe, who was sprawled across her bed like she'd been in a fight with her blankets. His phone buzzed. Vanessa. Made it home safely, all 50 feet. Ryan. Glad you survived the journey. Vanessa. Tonight was good. Ryan. It really was. Vanessa. Same time next week? Ryan. It's a date. Ryan fell asleep that night thinking maybe, possibly, he was allowed to have this. Maybe he could be a good father and also someone who dated and fell for people. Maybe those things weren't mutually exclusive. Maybe. The next few weeks developed a rhythm. Friday nights became their established time. Dinner at Ryan's, sometimes with Chloe, sometimes after she went to bed at her grandmother's. They started texting constantly. Vanessa would send him articles she found interesting. Ryan would send her memes that made her laugh during tedious conference calls. They didn't tell the neighbors, not officially. But Mrs. Patterson figured it out within a week. I saw you two at this farmer's market, she announced one morning while Ryan was getting his mail, looking very cozy. We were buying vegetables, Mrs. Patterson. Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Ryan felt his face heat. We're just friends. Sure you are, dear. That's why she's been smiling every time she leaves your house on Friday nights. There was no winning this conversation. Ryan retreated inside. Ryan. Mrs. Patterson knows. Vanessa. About what? Ryan. Us. Vanessa. There's an us? Ryan. Isn't there? The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 3 times. Vanessa. I don't know. Is there? Ryan stared at his phone. This was the conversation they'd been avoiding for weeks, the what are we, where is this going, are we doing this for real conversation. He called her instead of texting. Hey, Vanessa answered. I think we need to talk. That's never a good way to start a conversation. Not like that, just, we've been doing this for almost a month now. The dinners and the texting and the pretending we're just hanging out as neighbors, and I think we both know it's more than that. Silence on the other end. Then, come over. Now? Right now. Ryan crossed the driveway in his socks. Vanessa opened her door before he could knock, pulling him inside. Her house was immaculate in that way that showed someone had money and also possibly never cooked.
Everything was white and chrome and expensive looking, so different from his cluttered lived-in space next door. "I'm scared," Vanessa said without preamble. "I'm scared of this, of us, of what happens if we make it real and it falls apart." "Me too. But I can't keep pretending it's casual. Every time I see you, every time we talk, it keeps getting bigger, and I don't know what to do with that." Ryan took her hands. "So we stop pretending. We admit this is real. We're dating, exclusively, whatever you want to call it. And when it gets hard, when the newness wears off and we're just two people with baggage and trauma and completely different lives, then we figure it out together." Vanessa searched his face. "You make it sound simple." "It's not simple. But maybe it doesn't have to be as complicated as we're making it." She kissed him then, desperate and searching and a little bit scared. Ryan kissed her back, pouring 3 years of loneliness and grief and tentative hope into it. When they broke apart, Vanessa was crying. "Sorry," she said, wiping her eyes. "I don't usually. This isn't. It's okay." "It's not okay. I'm a mess. I'm supposed to be this put-together CEO who has her shit figured out, and instead I'm crying in my living room because a relationship might be real. Welcome to being human. It's terrible." She laughed through the tears. "Your pep talks need work." "I know." They sat on her pristine white couch, Ryan in his worn jeans and old t-shirt, Vanessa in her expensive casual wear that probably cost more than his car. Two people from different worlds trying to build something in the space between. "I want this," Vanessa said quietly. "I want us to be real. But I need you to understand something. My life is insane. I travel constantly. I work 70-hour weeks. There are going to be times when I can't be there, when business takes priority." "I get that." "Do you? Really? Because I've had relationships end because of this. People say they understand, but then they resent the late nights and the canceled plans and the fact that sometimes I have to put work first." Ryan thought about this carefully. "I'm not saying it won't be hard, but I have Chloe. My life revolves around her schedule. There are going to be times when I have to cancel because she's sick or has a school thing or just needs her dad. So maybe we're both going to have to be flexible. Or maybe we're setting ourselves up for failure. Maybe. Or maybe we're two adults who can actually communicate like grown-ups instead of expecting the other person to read our minds." Vanessa smiled despite herself. "Revolutionary concept. I'm full of them." They talked until midnight, really talked, laying everything out. Vanessa's schedule, Ryan's responsibilities, what they both wanted, what scared them. By the end of it, Ryan felt wrung out but clearer. "So we're doing this," Vanessa said. "Officially." "Officially. I'm going to screw it up, just warning you now." "Same. We can screw it up together." Ryan walked home at 12:30, his head spinning. Inside, the house was quiet. He checked on Chloe out of habit, found her sleeping peacefully. In his own room, he sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the photo of Sarah on the nightstand. 3 years of talking to that photo. 3 years of guilt and grief and carefully maintained sorrow. "I'm really doing this," he said quietly. "I'm dating someone. Her name is Vanessa, and she lives next door, and she's completely wrong for me on paper, but somehow it works. And I think I might be falling for her. Is that okay? Can I do that?" The photo didn't answer, but Ryan didn't need it to anymore. He fell asleep that night without the usual weight on his chest. Maybe this would work out. Maybe it wouldn't. But for the first time in 3 years, he was willing to try. The shift happened so gradually that Ryan almost missed it. It started small. Chloe stopped asking where Vanessa was on Friday nights and started asking when she'd be there. The drawings she brought home from school began featuring 3 stick figures instead of 2. She started setting 3 places at the dinner table automatically. Ryan told himself this was good. This was progress. This was what moving forward looked like. But some part of him, the part that still checked Sarah's photo every morning, the part that kept her favorite coffee mug in the cabinet even though he'd never use it, whispered that maybe things were moving too fast. It was mid-November when everything started unraveling. Vanessa had been in New York for a week on business. They texted every day, video called twice, but the distance made Ryan edgy in a way he couldn't quite explain. He caught himself checking his phone obsessively, reading old messages, wondering if she was having second thoughts about all of this. She came back on a Thursday night. Ryan heard her car pull in around 9, heard her front door open and close. He was helping Chloe with math homework at the kitchen table.
Is Vanessa back? Chloe asked without looking up from her worksheet. Sounds like it. Can we go say hi? She's probably tired from traveling. But we haven't seen her in forever. Ryan set down his pencil. It's been a week, Chloe. That's not forever. Feels like forever. Something in his daughter's voice made Ryan pause. She was still looking at her homework, but her shoulders were tense. He'd seen this before. The careful casualness that meant she was working up to saying something important. What's going on, kiddo? Nothing. Chloe. She finally looked up. Are you and Vanessa going to get married? The question hit Ryan like a truck. What? No, we've only been dating a few months. Madison's mom got remarried after 6 months. That's different. Why? Because every situation is different. Vanessa and I are taking things slow. Chloe chewed on her pencil, that look on her face that meant she was processing something complicated. Do you love her? Ryan opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Did he love Vanessa? The honest answer was he didn't know. He cared about her. He thought about her constantly. When she walked into a room, his entire nervous system lit up. But was that love? Or just the desperate gratitude of someone who'd been alone too long? I care about her a lot, he said finally. But do you love her like you loved Mom? There it was. The question Ryan had been avoiding for months. Nobody will ever be like Mom, he said carefully. What Mom and I had was special, but that doesn't mean I can't care about Vanessa in a different way. Chloe nodded, but she'd gone quiet in that way that meant the conversation was over, even though nothing had been resolved. Ryan watched her return to her math worksheet, watched her struggle through problems she normally would have asked for help with. Something was wrong. He could feel it. That night after Chloe was in bed, Ryan texted Vanessa. Ryan, you awake? Vanessa. Unfortunately, jet lag is destroying me. Ryan. Want company? Vanessa. Always. He found her in her kitchen, wearing sweatpants and a bright red windbreaker, hair in a messy bun, looking exhausted and beautiful in that specific 3 a.m. way. She'd clearly been working, laptop open on the counter, papers scattered everywhere. Hey, she said, smiling when she saw him. Hey yourself. Ryan kissed her, and for a moment everything felt normal. But then he pulled back and saw the tiredness in her eyes, the tension in her shoulders. New York was rough? He asked. Brutal. The board is pushing for a merger I don't think we're ready for. I spent the entire week in meetings arguing about projected earnings and market positioning. She rubbed her face. I love my job. I really do. But sometimes I wonder what the hell I'm doing with my life. Building an empire? An empire I get to enjoy alone in a giant empty house at midnight. She gestured around the immaculate kitchen. You know what I did my first night back? Ordered takeout and ate it standing at the counter because sitting at that huge dining room table by myself felt too depressing. Ryan pulled her into a hug. She melted against him, and he felt her exhale shakily. I missed you, she said quietly. Missed you too. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Vanessa pulled back, wiping her eyes quickly. Sorry, I'm a mess. Ignore me. You're not a mess, you're human. Same thing lately. Ryan studied her face. Can I ask you something? And I need you to be honest. That's a scary opening. Are you happy with us? With how things are going? Vanessa was quiet for a beat too long. Where's this coming from? Chloe asked me tonight if we were getting married. Oh. Vanessa moved away, started organizing papers that didn't need organizing. What did you tell her? That we're taking things slow. And she asked if I loved you. Vanessa's hands stilled. What did you say to that? I deflected, badly. Ryan leaned against the counter. But it got me thinking. We've been doing this for 3 months. We've never actually talked about what we want, long term, where this is going. Do we have to, right now? Vanessa. She turned to face him. I don't know what I want, Ryan. I know I like being with you. I know coming home to an empty house tonight sucked because I kept wishing I was coming home to you and Chloe instead. But marriage, kids, the whole domestic package, I've never wanted those things. I built my entire life around not wanting those things.
And now? Now I'm terrified because I think I might want them, and I have no idea what to do with that. Ryan crossed to her, took her hands. We don't have to figure it all out tonight. But Chloe's asking questions. She's getting attached. And if this doesn't work out, then we deal with it together. That's easy to say. I know. Ryan squeezed her hands. But what's the alternative? We end things now because we're scared of the future? That seems worse. Vanessa looked at him with those hazel eyes that had undone him from day one. I don't want to hurt her, Ryan, or you. I couldn't live with myself if I did. So don't. It's not that simple. Why not? Instead of answering, she kissed him. It felt desperate, like she was trying to communicate something she couldn't put into words. Ryan kissed her back, pushing aside the unease settling in his chest. They didn't resolve anything that night. Ryan went home around 2 a.m., slipped into bed, and stared at the ceiling until his alarm went off. The next few weeks were harder. Vanessa got pulled into another business crisis, something about a failed product launch and investor relations. She was there, but not there, physically present for Friday dinners, but mentally somewhere else. Ryan tried to be understanding. He really did. But watching her check her phone during movie night or excuse herself to take calls during dinner started wearing on him. And Chloe noticed. She started acting out in small ways. Forgot her homework, talked back when asked to do chores, got sent to the principal's office for pushing another kid at recess, something she'd never done before. Ryan got the call at 2 in the afternoon. Mr. Cole, this is Principal Martinez. I need you to come pick up Chloe. There's been an incident. His stomach dropped. Is she okay? Is she hurt? She's fine physically, but we need to discuss her behavior. Ryan made it to the school in 15 minutes. Chloe sat outside the principal's office, looking small and defiant, arms crossed, eyes red from crying. What happened? Ryan asked, kneeling in front of her. Nothing. Chloe. I said nothing. Principal Martinez appeared, gestured for Ryan to step into her office. Through the window, Ryan could see Chloe hunched in her chair, looking miserable. What happened? He asked again. Martinez folded her hands on her desk. Chloe got into a physical altercation with another student during recess. She pushed Emma Patterson, Mrs. Patterson's granddaughter? Yes. Emma apparently made a comment about Chloe's mother. Chloe pushed her down and things escalated from there. Ryan felt sick. What kind of comment? According to witnesses, Emma said something about Chloe getting a new mom. Chloe responded poorly. The pieces clicked into place. The withdrawn behavior. The acting out. The question about marriage. This wasn't about homework or chores or random mood swings. This was about Vanessa. Is Chloe suspended? Ryan asked quietly. Not this time. But Mr. Cole, I'm worried about her. This isn't like her. Her teacher says she's been distracted in class. Her grades are slipping. Is everything okay at home? Ryan wanted to laugh. Was everything okay? He was dating his neighbor. His daughter was clearly struggling with it, and he had no idea how to fix any of it. We're working through some changes, he said carefully. I understand, but Chloe might benefit from talking to someone, the school counselor or perhaps a therapist. She's already seen someone. Then perhaps more frequent sessions. Whatever's going on, she needs support. Ryan left the office and found Chloe exactly where he'd left her. She wouldn't look at him. Come on, he said gently. Let's go home. They drove in silence. Inside the house, Chloe went straight to her room and slammed the door. Ryan stood in the hallway trying to figure out what the hell he was supposed to do. He called Vanessa. Voicemail. He texted. No response. Finally, at 7 p.m., she called back. Sorry, I was in back-to-back meetings. What's up? Ryan explained what happened. The fight. The comment about a new mom. Chloe's spiral. Vanessa was quiet for a long time. This is my fault. It's not. It is, Ryan. I've been distracted. Absent. Even when I'm there, I'm not really there, and Chloe's picking up on it. You're dealing with a lot at work. That's not an excuse. I told you I'd try. I told you I wouldn't let work consume everything, and I'm doing exactly that. Vanessa, I need to step back. The words landed like a bomb. Ryan's entire body went cold. What? From us. From this. I need to step back before I do more damage. You're breaking up with me? Ryan's voice came out strangled. I'm saying we need space to figure out what we're doing, because clearly what we're doing now isn't working. So when things get hard, you just run? That's not fair. Isn't it? The second there's a real problem, you want to bail. I'm trying to protect your daughter. By abandoning her? She's already lost one important woman in her life, Vanessa. You think disappearing is going to help? Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, I don't know what else to do. You could fight for this. For us. Instead of giving up at the first real obstacle. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. You're being a coward. He regretted it the moment he said it, but the words hung there between them, sharp and irretrievable. Maybe I am, Vanessa said finally, but at least I'm not dragging an 8-year-old through my emotional damage. She hung up. Ryan stood in his kitchen, phone in hand, feeling like he'd been gutted. Upstairs, he could hear Chloe crying. He'd broken both of them, and trying to move forward, he'd somehow managed to hurt the two people who mattered most. That night, Ryan sat on the edge of Chloe's bed. She was facing the wall, pretending to be asleep. I know you're awake, he said quietly. She didn't respond. I'm sorry, Chloe. I'm sorry I didn't see how much this was bothering you. I thought I was doing the right thing, moving forward, trying to be happy again, but I should have checked in with you more, made sure you were okay with everything. Still nothing. Vanessa and I aren't going to see each other for a while. We need to figure some things out, and I need to focus on you, because you come first. You always come first. Chloe rolled over. Her face was blotchy from crying. Is it my fault? What? No, absolutely not. But if I hadn't pushed Emma, this isn't about Emma. This is about me not paying attention, not seeing that you were struggling. I don't want you to be sad again, Chloe said, her voice breaking. You were getting happy. Vanessa made you happy. And now she's gone, and it's because of me. Ryan pulled her into a hug. Listen to me. None of this is your fault. Not one bit. Sometimes adult relationships are complicated and messy, and they don't work out. That's not on you. But I liked her. Even when I was scared, I liked her. Scared of what? Chloe pulled back, wiping her nose. That she'd replace Mom. That you'd forget about Mom because Vanessa was there. Ryan's heart cracked open. I could never forget Mom. Never. She's part of who we are. But Chloe, loving someone new doesn't mean loving Mom less. There's room for both. Then why did Vanessa leave? Because I screwed up. Because she screwed up. Because we're both scared and broken, and we don't know what we're doing. He smoothed Chloe's hair back. But that's not on you. You understand? She nodded, but she didn't look convinced. Ryan stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then he went downstairs and did something he hadn't done in months. He poured himself a drink. Just one. He sat at the kitchen table nursing whiskey and feeling sorry for himself. His phone lit up with a text. Vanessa, I'm sorry for what I said. You're not dragging anyone through anything. You're a good father. Ryan, I'm sorry too. You're not a coward. Vanessa, I kind of am though. Ryan, maybe we both are. Vanessa, what do we do now? Ryan stared at the message. What did they do? Continue pretending everything was fine, end things cleanly before more damage was done? Try to push through despite all evidence that they were in over their heads? Ryan, I don't know. Vanessa, me neither. Ryan, I meant what I said though, about fighting for this, if you want to. Vanessa, I don't know if I know how. Ryan, we could learn. Vanessa, or we could make everything worse. Ryan, also possible. 3 dots appeared and disappeared. Then, Vanessa, I need time to think, to figure out what I actually want. Can you give me that? Ryan's first instinct was to say no, to demand they work through this together, right now, tonight. But that wasn't fair, and maybe space was exactly what they both needed. Ryan, take all the time you need. Vanessa, thank you. Vanessa, for what it's worth, I think I was falling in love with you. I'm just not sure I know how to do that without destroying everything. Ryan read the message 3 times. His hands were shaking. Ryan, same. All of it. He didn't hear from her after that. The days bled together. Ryan went through the motions. Breakfast, school drop-off, work, school pickup, dinner, bedtime. Chloe seemed better, or at least less volatile. They didn't talk about Vanessa. Ryan saw her occasionally through windows. She left early for work, came home late. Her house was always lit up past midnight. Once, he caught her looking at his house from her kitchen window. Their eyes met for a brief second before she turned away. Mrs. Patterson cornered him 2 weeks later. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Excuse me?" "To Vanessa. She looks terrible. And you look terrible. And my granddaughter says Chloe's been crying in the bathroom at school. This really isn't your business, Mrs. Patterson." "It is when it affects the children. Emma feels awful about what she said. She didn't mean to start all this." Ryan took a breath. "Tell Emma it's not her fault. Tell her Chloe's okay. We're all okay. You're all clearly not okay. Then tell her we will be, eventually." Mrs. Patterson studied him with sharp eyes. "You're making a mistake, both of you. Whatever happened, it's not worth throwing away what you had."
You don't know what we had. I've been watching you two for months. I see how you looked at each other, how she was with Chloe, how you smiled again for the first time since Sarah died. Her voice softened. "Don't let fear ruin something good, Ryan. It's not that simple. It never is. But simple and worthwhile are different things." She left him standing on his porch, her words echoing in his head. That night, Chloe came downstairs while Ryan was washing dishes. "Dad?" "Yeah, kiddo? I've been thinking about what you said, about how loving someone new doesn't mean forgetting Mom." Ryan set down the dish he was washing. "Okay. And I think maybe I was wrong about Vanessa, about being scared she'd replace Mom." Chloe picked at a loose thread on her pajama sleeve. "Nobody could replace Mom. But maybe that's okay. Maybe Vanessa could just be Vanessa." "Where's this coming from?" "I don't know. I just miss her, and I miss you being happy, and I feel like I messed everything up." Ryan dried his hands and knelt down. "You didn't mess anything up. But if we're being honest with each other, really honest, I need to know something. If Vanessa and I tried again, if we worked things out, would you be okay with that?" Chloe thought about this seriously. "Would she come to my school stuff like Mom used to?" "If she could, yeah. I think she would." "And would she still help with homework?" "Probably." "And Friday movie nights?" "Definitely." "Then yeah, I'd be okay with it." Chloe paused. "Do you think she still wants to, after everything?" "I don't know, sweetheart. I honestly don't know." But standing there in his kitchen, looking at his daughter's hopeful face, Ryan realized something. He'd been so focused on protecting everyone, Chloe from potential hurt, himself from potential loss, Vanessa from the weight of his baggage, that he'd forgotten to actually fight for what mattered. Mrs. Patterson was right. He was making a mistake. They both were. Ryan waited until Chloe was in bed. Then he did something either incredibly brave or monumentally stupid. He walked across to Vanessa's house and knocked on her door. She answered in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, hair pulled back, no makeup. She looked tired and sad and perfect. "Ryan, I love you," he said before she could finish. "I'm in love with you, and I should have said it weeks ago instead of dancing around it. I should have fought harder when things got difficult, instead of just accepting that you needed space." Vanessa stared at him. "What? I'm not asking you to have everything figured out. I'm not asking you to be perfect or know exactly what you want. I'm just asking you to try, with me, with us, because I think what we have is worth fighting for, even when it's scary and messy and complicated." "Ryan, I talked to Chloe, really talked to her, and she wants this too. She misses you. She asked if you'd still come to her school stuff if we worked things out." Vanessa's eyes were shining. "She did?" "She did. So the question is, do you want this, really want it? Because if you don't, I'll walk away right now. But if you do, if there's any part of you that thinks this could work, then let's stop being scared and actually try." Vanessa was crying now, not bothering to hide it. "I'm terrified." "Me too. I don't know how to do this, how to be someone's partner and still be myself." "Then we'll figure it out, together. No more running when things get hard. No more retreating into work or grief or whatever defense mechanism feels safest. We deal with stuff head on. What if I mess it up again? Then we fix it. What if I mess it up? Then we fix it," she echoed.
So are we doing this? Vanessa stepped forward and kissed him, hard and desperate, and full of 3 weeks of missing each other. Ryan kissed her back, pulling her close, feeling like maybe, finally, they were going to be okay. When they broke apart, Vanessa was smiling through tears. "Yeah," she said. "Yeah, we're doing this." They stood in Vanessa's doorway for a long moment, neither of them quite believing what had just happened. Ryan's heart was still racing from his confession, from the kiss, from the sheer audacity of showing up at her door and demanding they try again. "You should come in," Vanessa said finally, her voice rough from crying. "The neighbors are probably getting a show." "Let them watch." But he followed her inside anyway, into that immaculate house that always made him feel slightly out of place. She led him to the living room where they'd had their first real conversation about making things official. It felt like a lifetime ago. "I need you to understand something," Vanessa said, turning to face him. "When I said I needed space, I wasn't running. I was trying to protect you, both of you." "From what?" "From me. From my inevitable failure at this." She gestured helplessly around the room. "Look at this place, Ryan. It's a museum. I don't know how to live in a space that feels lived in. I don't know how to make dinner without ordering takeout. I don't know how to be someone's, She stopped, struggling with the word. "Partner?" Ryan offered. "I was going to say anchor, but sure, partner works too." Ryan crossed to her, took her hands. "You think I have this figured out? I'm a widower raising a kid who's still processing trauma. I work in sweatpants and forget to pay parking tickets. My idea of meal planning is deciding which frozen pizza to buy. We're both disasters, Vanessa. That's supposed to be comforting? Kind of, yeah, because it means neither of us is expecting perfection. We're just expecting honesty and effort." Vanessa searched his face. "What if the effort isn't enough? Then we'll know we tried. But I'd rather fail trying than spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been." She pulled him down onto the couch, curled against his side like she belonged there. "I missed this. Just sitting with you." "Same. 3 weeks felt like forever." "Chloe really asked about me. She's been asking about you since the day after our fight. I told her we needed space to figure things out. She told me I was being stupid and should just apologize." Vanessa laughed softly. "Smart kid." "Too smart. It's terrifying." They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet except for the occasional car passing by. Ryan thought about all the times he'd looked out his window and seen Vanessa's house lit up late at night, wondered what she was doing, if she was thinking about him. "So what now?" Vanessa asked. "We can't just pick up where we left off and pretend nothing happened." "No, we can't. We need ground rules, real ones this time." "I'm listening." Ryan thought about this carefully. "First, we communicate. Actually communicate. When something's bothering us, we talk about it instead of letting it fester." "Okay. What else?" "You can't disappear into work when things get hard, and I can't use Chloe as an excuse to avoid difficult conversations." "Fair." Vanessa shifted to look at him. "Can I add one?" "Go ahead." "We include Chloe in this. Not in the adult stuff, but in the general direction we're heading. She deserves to know what's happening, especially since it affects her life too." Ryan nodded. "Agreed. Anything else?" "Yeah. One more thing." Vanessa took a breath. "If this is real, if we're really doing this, then I need to meet your family, and you need to meet mine. I can't keep this separate forever." The thought of introducing Vanessa to his parents made Ryan's stomach clench. His mother had loved Sarah, worshipped her. The idea of bringing someone new into that dynamic felt impossible. "That scares you," Vanessa observed. "Terrifies me. My mom still has photos of Sarah all over her house. She calls on the anniversary of her death every year and we cry together. I have no idea how she's going to react to you." "She's going to hate me." "She's not going to hate you. She's going to be suspicious and protective and probably ask you 1,000 questions about your intentions." "That's basically hate." "No, that's her loving me and Chloe and wanting to make sure we're okay." Vanessa was quiet for a moment. "When do you want to do this?" "Thanksgiving. It's in 2 weeks. My parents always host. I usually bring Chloe and we spend the day pretending everything's fine while my mom overcooks the turkey and my dad falls asleep watching football." "Sounds lovely." "It's actually terrible. But it's tradition. Ryan squeezed her hand. You don't have to come if you're not ready. No, I want to. I just need time to mentally prepare for your mother's interrogation. She's not that bad. You're lying, but I appreciate it. Ryan kissed her temple. Your turn. When do I meet your family? Never, if I have my way. Vanessa. She sighed. My mother is complicated. She had very specific ideas about who I should marry and what my life should look like. When my marriage fell apart, she was relieved because she never liked him anyway, but she's made it very clear that any future relationship needs to meet her impossible standards. Which are? Wealthy, connected, prestigious family, Ivy League education, no children from previous relationships. Vanessa looked at him pointedly. You're a graphic designer with a state school degree and a daughter. My mother's going to have opinions. Great, can't wait. I'm serious, Ryan. She can be brutal. Then she'll be brutal. I can handle it. Can you, though? Because last time someone questioned whether we should be together, we broke up for 3 weeks. The comment stung because it was true. Ryan thought about how quickly he'd retreated when things got difficult. How easily he'd accepted Vanessa's need for space instead of fighting for what they had. You're right, he said quietly. I didn't fight hard enough before. I let fear make decisions for me. But I'm done with that. Your mother can hate me all she wants. It won't change how I feel about you. Vanessa's expression softened. You really mean that? I really do. She kissed him properly then, slow and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, she was smiling. Stay tonight? She asked. I can't. Chloe's home alone. Right. Of course. Vanessa pulled back. Tomorrow then? Tomorrow I need to tell Chloe we're trying again. She deserves to hear it from me. Can I be there? When you tell her? Ryan considered this. You sure? It might be awkward. I want to be there. If we're including her in this, she should hear it from both of us. Okay. Come over for breakfast. 9 a.m.? I'll be there. Ryan walked home feeling lighter than he had in weeks. Inside, he checked on Chloe, still asleep, sprawled across her bed like always. He stood in her doorway for a moment, watching her breathe, thinking about how much was about to change again. He was doing the right thing. He had to believe that. The next morning, Chloe came downstairs to find Vanessa sitting at their kitchen table helping Ryan make pancakes. She stopped in the doorway, eyes wide. Vanessa? Hey, Chloe. Vanessa smiled nervously. Your dad said you like chocolate chip pancakes. I'm testing that theory. Chloe looked at Ryan, then back at Vanessa, then at Ryan again. Are you back together? We're trying to be, Ryan said carefully. If that's okay with you. Instead of answering, Chloe launched herself at Vanessa, wrapping her arms around her waist. Vanessa froze for a second, then hugged her back, meeting Ryan's eyes over Chloe's head with an expression of pure panic and joy. I'm sorry I messed everything up, Chloe said, her voice muffled against Vanessa's bright red windbreaker. You didn't mess anything up. Vanessa pulled back to look at her. Your dad and I had some stuff to work through, adult stuff. It had nothing to do with you. But I pushed Emma and got in trouble, and you were dealing with some big feelings. That's normal. That's okay. Vanessa glanced at Ryan, who nodded encouragingly. Can I tell you something? I was scared too, of being part of your family, of not being good enough, of replacing someone I could never actually replace. Chloe's eyes were wide. Really? Really? I still am scared, honestly, but I want to try anyway, if you'll let me. I want you to try. Chloe looked at Ryan. Can she come to my school play? It's next week, and I'm playing a tree. A tree? Not the main tree, one of the background trees, but still a tree. Ryan laughed. I think we can manage that. Vanessa, you free Thursday night? For background tree performance? Absolutely. They ate breakfast together, pancakes that were slightly burnt because Ryan got distracted, orange juice, terrible coffee that Chloe insisted on helping make. It felt normal in a way that breakfast hadn't felt in years. Like a family. The word scared Ryan, but it also felt right. After breakfast, Vanessa had to leave for a meeting. Chloe hugged her goodbye at the door, making her promise to come back soon. She really likes you, Ryan said as they watched Vanessa cross to her own house. The feeling's mutual. Chloe looked up at him. Are you happy, Dad? Yeah, kiddo. I think I am. Good. You deserve to be happy. The simplicity of it nearly broke him. Ryan pulled his daughter into a hug, thanking whatever force in the universe had given him this second chance. The next 2 weeks were a blur of negotiation and adjustment. Vanessa tried to scale back her work hours with mixed success. She made it to Chloe's play, sat through 45 minutes of elementary school Shakespeare with genuine enthusiasm, cheered when Chloe took her bow as background tree number 3. Ryan met Vanessa's assistant, her CFO, her head of product development, people who'd been running her life for years and seemed suspicious of anyone new entering her orbit. They were polite but distant, clearly protective of their boss. "They think I'm going to hurt you," Ryan said after one particularly awkward lunch meeting. "They think everyone's going to hurt me. I don't exactly have a great track record with relationships." Comforting. "I'm just saying, they'll warm up, eventually." Mrs. Patterson stopped by with a casserole and a knowing smile. "I knew you two would figure it out." "You're insufferable," Ryan told her. "I'm right, there's a difference." Thanksgiving approached faster than Ryan wanted. He put off telling his parents about Vanessa until 4 days before, then immediately regretted it when his mother called back within the hour. "Ryan James Cole, you've been dating someone for 5 months and you're just now telling me?" "It's complicated, Mom. Everything with you is complicated. What's her name? What does she do? Does Chloe like her? Have you taken her to Sarah's grave yet? Mom, you need to introduce them properly. Sarah should know about this." Ryan closed his eyes. This was exactly what he'd been dreading. "Mom, I don't think Sarah cares who I'm dating." "Of course she does. She's still part of this family, Ryan. You can't just erase her." "I'm not trying to erase her, but she's gone, and I'm allowed to move on." His mother was quiet for a long moment. "I know that, sweetheart. I do. It's just hard. For all of us." "I know, but Vanessa's important to me, and I need you to give her a chance." "Fine. Bring her Thursday, 4 o'clock. And Ryan, be prepared. Your Aunt Carol is going to have questions." She hung up before he could respond. "That went well," Vanessa said. She was sitting on his couch, having heard the entire conversation. "My family is insane. You can still back out." "Not a chance. I survived hostile board takeovers. I can survive your mother." Thursday arrived with freezing rain and traffic that made the drive to his parents' house take twice as long as it should have. Chloe chattered nervously from the back seat. Vanessa was silent, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. "You okay?" Ryan asked quietly. "Fine, great, totally not spiraling." "You're allowed to spiral. That's not comforting." "I know." His parents lived in a suburb 40 minutes outside Chicago, one of those neighborhoods where every house looked identical and everyone knew everyone else's business. Ryan pulled into the driveway behind his dad's truck and his Aunt Carol's minivan. "Everyone's already here," he said. "That's good. We can blend into the chaos." "Or stand out more," Vanessa countered. "Optimism. I like it." They made it to the front door before it flew open. Ryan's mother stood there wearing an apron covered in turkeys and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Ryan, Chloe, and you must be Vanessa." "Mrs. Cole, it's so nice to meet you." Vanessa extended her hand. Ryan's mother ignored it and pulled her into a hug instead. "Call me Diana. We don't stand on formality here." Inside, the house was exactly as Ryan remembered. Family photos covering every surface, furniture from the 80s, the smell of turkey and stuffing overwhelming everything. His father appeared from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel. "There's my favorite granddaughter." "I'm your only granddaughter, Grandpa." "Details?" He scooped Chloe up despite her protests that she was too old for this. Then he turned to Vanessa. "You must be the one who's got my son all twisted up." "Dad, I'm teasing. Welcome, Vanessa. I'm Tom, the normal parent." "There's nothing normal about you," Diana called from the kitchen. The afternoon devolved into controlled chaos. Aunts and uncles and cousins Ryan saw once a year descended with questions and observations. Vanessa handled it gracefully, fielding interrogations about her job, her family, her intentions with Ryan. She smiled and answered patiently, even when Aunt Carol asked point blank if she was just looking for a father figure for her non-existent children. "Carol," Ryan's mother said sharply, "that's inappropriate." "I'm just asking what we're all thinking." "Actually, you're being rude. Apologize." Aunt Carol muttered something that might have been an apology and retreated to the kitchen.
Ryan found Vanessa in the hallway 10 minutes later, staring at a photo of him and Sarah from their wedding day. "You okay?" he asked. "Your family really loved her." They did. There are photos of her everywhere, in every room.
Ryan looked around. She was right. He'd stopped noticing them years ago, but they were there. Sarah at Christmas. Sarah holding baby Chloe. Sarah and Ryan on vacation in Michigan. "I can ask them to take some down," he offered. "Don't. That would be worse." Vanessa turned to face him. "I knew what I was getting into. She's part of your history, part of Chloe's history. I can't compete with that." "You're not competing, you're just different." "Different," Vanessa repeated. "Is that good or bad?" "It's real, and real is better than perfect." Dinner was loud and overwhelming, and exactly what Thanksgiving with his family always was. They squeezed around a table meant for 8, passing dishes and talking over each other. Ryan's mother asked Vanessa about her business. His father told embarrassing stories from Ryan's childhood. Chloe ate 3 rolls and no vegetables. Normal. It was so beautifully normal that Ryan almost forgot to be anxious. Then his mother stood up for her traditional Thanksgiving speech. The one where she went around the table asking everyone what they were grateful for. Ryan's stomach dropped. This was going to be a disaster. "I'll start," Diana said. "I'm grateful for family, for all of you being here, for another year together." She looked directly at Ryan. "And I'm grateful that my son is finally letting himself be happy again." The table went quiet. Ryan felt Vanessa's hand find his under the table, squeezed tight. "I know I haven't always made that easy," his mother continued. "I held on to Sarah so tightly that I didn't leave room for anything new, for anyone new, and that wasn't fair to Ryan or Chloe." She turned to Vanessa. "I'm grateful you're here, Vanessa, and I'm grateful my son found someone willing to take a chance on our complicated family." Vanessa's eyes were shining. "Thank you. That means more than you know." Ryan's father raised his glass. "To new beginnings." "To new beginnings," everyone echoed. They made it through dessert without incident. Ryan was helping his mother clean up when she cornered him in the kitchen. "She's good for you," Diana said quietly. "Yeah? Yeah, I can see it. The way you look at her, the way Chloe looks at her. You're lighter than you've been in years." "I feel lighter." His mother set down the dish she was washing. "I owe you an apology for holding on to Sarah so tightly, for making you feel like you couldn't move forward. Mom, let me finish. I loved Sarah. I will always love Sarah, but she's gone. And you're still here. You deserve to live, Ryan. Really live, not just survive." Ryan hugged his mother, feeling something release in his chest. "Thank you." "Take care of that one," she said, nodding toward the living room where Vanessa was showing Chloe something on her phone. "She's special." "I know." The drive home was quiet. Chloe fell asleep in the back seat almost immediately. Vanessa leaned her head against the window, watching the city lights blur past. "That wasn't so bad," Ryan said. "Your mother made me cry, in front of everyone. In a good way, though." "Still crying." "You handled Aunt Carol like a pro." "Your Aunt Carol is terrifying. I've faced hostile investors with more warmth." Ryan laughed. "Fair point." They pulled into their street around 9. Ryan carried Chloe inside and put her to bed. When he came back downstairs, Vanessa was sitting on his couch, looking exhausted and content. "Come here," she said. Ryan sat beside her. She curled against him immediately, fitting perfectly into the space under his arm. "Thank you for today," she said quietly. "For subjecting you to my chaotic family, for including me, for introducing me as someone important, for not hiding what we have. You are important, and I'm done hiding." Vanessa tilted her head up to kiss him. "Good. Because I'm meeting your in-laws next week, and I need to know you're all in." Ryan pulled back. "My in-laws? Sarah's parents? They called me, asked to meet. I said yes." "Vanessa." "I want to do this right, Ryan. That means acknowledging everyone who's part of your life, including Sarah's parents. They're Chloe's grandparents. They're important. They're going to compare you to her." "I know, and that's okay. I can't be Sarah, but I can be honest about who I am and what I mean to you and Chloe. That has to be enough." Ryan kissed her forehead. "You're braver than I am."
We're both terrified. We're just choosing to be terrified together.
They sat like that until nearly midnight, talking, kissing, making plans for the future. When Vanessa finally left, Ryan stood at his window and watched her lights turn on next door. His phone buzzed. Vanessa. Made it home. All 50 feet again. Ryan. One of these days you should just stay. Vanessa. One of these days I might. Ryan went to bed that night feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Not just happiness or contentment, but genuine peace. Like maybe, finally, all the broken pieces were starting to fit together into something whole. Meeting Sarah's parents turned out to be easier than Ryan expected, and harder than Vanessa could have prepared for. They met at a small cafe in Lincoln Park, neutral territory, Vanessa had suggested, somewhere nobody had history. Linda and Robert Henderson arrived 10 minutes early. Ryan spotted them through the window as he and Vanessa approached, his former in-laws looking older than he remembered, more fragile. You don't have to do this, Ryan said quietly, his hand finding Vanessa's. Yes, I do. Linda stood when they entered, her smile warm but uncertain. Robert remained seated, his expression carefully neutral. Ryan hugged them both, feeling the familiar ache of loss mixed with something newer. Guilt for moving forward, maybe, or just the awkwardness of introducing the woman who'd taken up the space their daughter once occupied. Linda, Robert, this is Vanessa. Vanessa extended her hand. Linda took it, held it perhaps a moment too long, studying Vanessa's face like she was searching for something. It's wonderful to meet you both, Vanessa said. Ryan's told me so much about you. All good things, I hope, Robert said, his voice gruff. They sat, ordered coffee. The silence stretched uncomfortably until Linda broke it. How's Chloe? She's good, Ryan said, grateful for the safe topic. Growing like crazy. She's in the school play next month. A bigger part this time. She's playing Dorothy. From Wizard of Oz? Linda's face lit up. Sarah loved that movie. The mention of Sarah hung in the air. Vanessa's hand tightened around her coffee cup, but her expression remained open, kind. Ryan showed me videos of Chloe's last performance, Vanessa said carefully. She's incredibly talented. You must be so proud. We are, Linda said. Then, more hesitantly, Do you spend much time with her? With Chloe? Some. Friday nights, mostly. We're taking things slow, making sure she's comfortable with everything. Robert leaned forward. And is she? Comfortable? Ryan started to answer, but Vanessa spoke first. I think so, but it hasn't been easy, for any of us. She met Robert's gaze directly. I'm not trying to replace Sarah. I couldn't even if I wanted to, but I care about Ryan and Chloe very much, and I'm trying to be part of their lives in a way that honors what came before. Linda's eyes filled with tears. That's all we could ask for. The conversation thawed after that. They talked about Chloe, about work, about the neighborhood. Linda asked about Vanessa's business with genuine interest. Robert told embarrassing stories about Ryan from family gatherings past. It wasn't comfortable exactly, but it was honest. As they were leaving, Linda pulled Vanessa aside. Take care of them, she said quietly. They've been through enough. I will. I promise. And let them take care of you too. That's what family does. Vanessa nodded, not trusting her voice. In the car afterward, she was quiet for a long time. You okay? Ryan asked. Your dead wife's mother just called me family. Is that a bad thing? No, it's just... Vanessa trailed off. I didn't expect them to be so kind. I expected judgment, resentment, something. They loved Sarah, they always will, but they also love Chloe and me, and they can see that you make us happy. Ryan reached for her hand. Happiness is hard to argue with. Your family is very evolved. Mine is going to be a disaster. She wasn't wrong. Vanessa's mother arrived in Chicago 2 weeks later for what she called a brief visit, and what Vanessa translated as an inspection. Catherine Hart was exactly what Ryan had imagined, impeccably dressed, sharply intelligent, and carrying herself with the kind of confidence that came from old money and older expectations. The dinner was at Vanessa's house. Ryan had offered to host, but Vanessa insisted on home turf advantage. She's going to hate you, Vanessa said for the 10th time as she rearranged flowers that didn't need rearranging. You keep saying that. Because it's true. You're not what she had in mind for me. What did she have in mind? Someone from the Wharton graduating class. Someone whose family has a summer house in the Hamptons. Someone who doesn't have a child from a previous relationship. So basically not me in every way. Basically, Catherine arrived precisely at 7 carrying expensive wine and judgment in equal measure. She kissed Vanessa's cheek, assessed the house with a practiced eye, then turned that assessment on Ryan. Mr. Cole, I've heard quite a bit about you. All bad, I'm sure. The corner of Catherine's mouth twitched. Might have been a smile. Might have been gas. Vanessa says you're a graphic designer. That's right. Self-employed or with a firm? Self-employed, freelance mostly. I see. 2 words that somehow conveyed an entire dissertation on Ryan's insufficient career prospects. Dinner was excruciating. Catherine asked pointed questions disguised as polite conversation. How was Ryan's financial situation? Did he have adequate life insurance? What were his long-term career goals? Was he planning to expand his client base or remain small-scale indefinitely? Vanessa tried to redirect, but her mother was relentless. Finally, Ryan set down his fork. Mrs. Hart, I think we should address what you're actually asking. And what is that? Whether I'm good enough for your daughter. Catherine's eyebrow arched. Are you? Probably not. I'm a widower with a kid and a mortgage. I work from home in sweatpants. My idea of fine dining is Antonio's Pizza. I don't have connections or a trust fund or a summer house anywhere. So why should I approve of this relationship? Because I love her. Because I show up. Because when things get hard, I don't run. I've learned that lesson the hard way. And because your daughter is brilliant and accomplished and perfectly capable of choosing her own partner without your approval. The silence that followed was deafening. Vanessa looked like she might pass out. Catherine studied Ryan with an expression he couldn't read. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Well, at least you have a spine, she turned to Vanessa. I like him. You... What? I said I like him. He's honest, direct, not trying to impress me with credentials he doesn't have. Catherine took a sip of wine. Your father was like that. Told my parents he wasn't good enough for me, but he'd spend his life trying to be. I appreciated the honesty. Vanessa stared at her mother like she'd grown a second head. You never told me that story. You never asked. You were too busy assuming I'd disapprove of anyone who didn't fit my perceived standards. Because you do disapprove. You hated Marcus. I hated that Marcus valued your company more than you. That's different. Catherine set down her glass. This one values you. I can see it in how he looks at you. That matters more than where he went to school. Ryan felt Vanessa's hand find his under the table, squeeze hard. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. Catherine interrogated him about Chloe, about his relationship with Sarah's family, about how he balanced single parenting with work. But the edge was gone from her questions. She was genuinely curious now, not testing. As she was leaving, Catherine pulled Ryan aside. My daughter has been hurt before. Badly. If you hurt her, I won't. You can't promise that. No one can. But if you're careless with her heart, if you take her for granted or make her smaller to make yourself bigger, I will make your life very difficult. Understood. Good. She studied him one more time. She's happy with you. I haven't seen her this happy in years. Don't waste it. After she left, Vanessa collapsed on the couch. That was the most terrifying dinner of my life. Your mother likes me. I know. I'm in shock. Ryan sat beside her. We did it. We survived both our families. We survived everything. Vanessa turned to look at him. The blind date, the breakup, the reconciliation, Thanksgiving, Sarah's parents, my mother. We actually made it through all of it. We did. So what now? Ryan thought about this. They'd been dating for 6 months. They'd worked through more issues than most couples faced in years. They'd proven they could weather storms and come out stronger. Now we just live, he said. No more tests, no more proving ourselves. We just exist together and see where it goes. That's simple? That's simple. Vanessa kissed him.
I love you, Ryan Cole. I love you too.
Winter settled into Chicago with its usual brutality.
Ryan and Vanessa fell into a rhythm that felt less like dating and more like building a life together. She started keeping clothes at his place. He had a key to her house. Chloe stopped asking when Vanessa was coming over and started assuming she would be. They had their first real fight in January over something stupid. Ryan had promised to attend one of Vanessa's company events and forgot, buried under a client deadline. She showed up alone and spent the evening fielding questions about her absent boyfriend. When she came over afterward, she was furious. "I needed you there," she said. "I told everyone you were coming. I looked like an idiot. I'm sorry I lost track of time. You always lose track of time when it's my work stuff. But I show up for Chloe's school things. I rearrange my schedule. I make it work. That's not fair. I've been to 3 of your events and missed 4. They argued for an hour, really argued, voices raised, no holding back. It was awful and necessary, and they both said things they regretted. Finally, exhausted, they sat on opposite ends of the couch in silence. "I don't know how to do this," Ryan said quietly. "How to balance everything. My work, Chloe, you. Something always gets shortchanged." "Same. I keep trying to be everything to everyone, and I'm failing at all of it." "So what do we do?" Vanessa moved closer. "We figure it out. We set boundaries. We communicate better. We stop expecting ourselves to be perfect. I can work with that."
They made rules after that. Ryan put Vanessa's important events in his calendar with alarms. Vanessa committed to 2 Friday nights a month, minimum, no exceptions. They scheduled actual dates, not just hanging out at home, but going out, being a couple, remembering why they liked each other. It helped. Not perfectly, but enough. February brought Chloe's 9th birthday. Ryan had planned a small party, pizza, cake, a few friends from school, but the morning of the party, Chloe had other ideas. "Can Vanessa help with the cake?" she asked over breakfast. "She's at a conference in Boston, kiddo. She won't be back until tonight." "But she promised she'd be here." Ryan checked his phone. Sure enough, Vanessa had texted at 6 a.m. Flight delayed. Trying to get back. "Tell Chloe I'm sorry." He showed Chloe the message. Her face crumpled. "She's missing my birthday." "She's trying her best. Sometimes work things happen." Work always happens with her. It was a fair criticism. Ryan had the same thought more times than he wanted to admit. The party went fine without Vanessa. Chloe smiled and played with her friends and blew out her candles. But Ryan could see the disappointment lingering, the way she kept checking the door. Vanessa showed up at 8 p.m. after the guests had left. She was still in her business clothes, looking exhausted and guilty. "I'm so sorry," she said when Ryan opened the door. "The flight got canceled. I had to drive from Detroit. I got here as fast as I could." Chloe appeared at the top of the stairs. "You missed it." "I know. I'm so sorry, Chloe." "You promised." "I did. And I broke that promise. That's on me." Vanessa pulled a wrapped box from her bag. "This doesn't make up for it, but happy birthday, sweetheart." Chloe came downstairs slowly, took the present. Inside was a necklace, simple, age-appropriate, with a small heart pendant. "It's beautiful," Chloe said quietly. "I had it made special. The heart opens, see?" Vanessa showed her. Inside were 2 tiny photos, one of Chloe with Ryan, one of Chloe with Sarah. "So you can keep both of them close." Chloe stared at the photos, then at Vanessa. Then she burst into tears and threw her arms around her. "I thought you didn't care," she sobbed. "I care so much. Too much, maybe. And I'm going to mess up sometimes because I'm still learning how to do this. But I will always try to be here for the important stuff." Ryan watched them, something fierce and protective swelling in his chest. This was his family now. Imperfect, complicated, messy. But family nonetheless. That night, after Chloe was asleep, Vanessa sat on Ryan's bed looking defeated. "I can't keep doing this," she said. Ryan's heart stopped. "Doing what?" "Missing important things. Letting work consume everything. I've been thinking about it for weeks. I need to make a change." "What kind of change?" "I'm stepping back from the CEO role, not leaving the company but moving to chairman of the board. We're promoting my COO to run day-to-day operations." She met his eyes. I'll still be involved, but I won't be in the weeds constantly. I'll have time for an actual life. Vanessa, you love that job. Yes, I do. But I love this more, you and Chloe and the life we're building. And I can't have both the way things are now. Something has to give. You're sure? I'm terrified. But yeah, I'm sure. Ryan pulled her close. You're incredible. You know that? I'm selfish. I want both the career and the family, so I'm restructuring to make it possible. That's not selfish, that's smart. March brought the first signs of spring and Vanessa's transition out of the CEO role. The business press covered it extensively. Youngest female billionaire steps back. What it means for Heart Technologies, speculation about her future. Vanessa ignored most of it, focused on training her replacement and reconfiguring her life. She was home for dinner 4 nights a week now. She made it to all of Chloe's school events. She had time to actually breathe. I forgot what this felt like, she told Ryan one Sunday morning. They were having breakfast in bed, something they'd never had time for before. Not being constantly stressed. It looks good on you. I'm bored out of my mind. Give it time. She threw a pillow at him. But she did adjust. She took up running again, something she hadn't done since college. She started reading for pleasure instead of just business reports. She laughed more easily, slept better, stopped checking her phone every 30 seconds. And she and Chloe grew closer. They developed their own relationship, separate from Ryan. Inside jokes, shared interests, a genuine bond that had nothing to do with anyone else. Ryan watched it happen with a mixture of joy and heartbreak. Joy because Chloe was happy, because she had another adult in her life who loved her. Heartbreak because it meant letting go of the idea that it would always be just the two of them against the world. You're doing it again, Vanessa said one night. They were watching Chloe show off a science project Vanessa had helped with. Doing what? That thing where you look proud and sad at the same time. She's growing up. She is, and that's good. I know, it's just hard sometimes, remembering she won't always need me. Vanessa took his hand. She'll always need you, just in different ways. April brought an unexpected conversation. Ryan was working at his desk when Chloe appeared in the doorway looking nervous. Can I ask you something? Always. Would it be okay if I called Vanessa Mom? Ryan's heart stopped. What? Not instead of Mom. I still have Mom. But like another mom? Madison has 2 moms and she calls them Mom Sarah and Mom Jennifer. Could I do that? Could Vanessa be like a second mom? Ryan tried to find words, failed, tried again. Have you talked to Vanessa about this? Not yet. I wanted to ask you first, because I don't want you to think I'm forgetting about Mom, the first mom. But Vanessa feels like a mom now. She helps with homework and comes to my stuff and makes bad jokes like moms do. Vanessa makes terrible jokes. The worst. Ryan pulled Chloe into a hug. If that's what you want, and if Vanessa's okay with it, then yes, it's absolutely okay. You're sure? I'm sure. Your mom, Sarah, would want you to have as many people loving you as possible. And Vanessa loves you. I can see it every time she looks at you. Chloe hugged him tighter. Thanks, Dad. That evening, Ryan told Vanessa about the conversation. She cried, happy tears, overwhelmed tears, terrified tears, all mixed together. What did you tell her? She asked. That it was up to you. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not good enough? You're already good enough. You've been good enough for months. This is just making it official. When Chloe asked Vanessa directly the next morning, Vanessa knelt down and took her hands. Are you absolutely sure? Because this is a big deal. I would be honored, but I want you to be sure. I'm sure. Can I try it? Just to see how it feels? You can try it. Chloe took a breath. Okay. Hi, Mom, Vanessa. Vanessa started crying again. Hi, sweetheart. They hugged for a long time. Ryan watched from the kitchen doorway, thinking about how far they'd all come from that awkward blind date a year ago. Summer arrived with heat and humidity, and the question Ryan had been avoiding. He and Vanessa were alone at her place, Chloe at a sleepover, a rare evening with no responsibilities. They'd made dinner together, opened wine, settled on the couch. I've been thinking, Vanessa said. Dangerous. About us. About the future. Ryan's pulse quickened.
Okay. We've been together over a year now. We've met each other's families. Chloe calls me mom. We're basically living together already, just across 2 houses. Where are you going with this? Vanessa turned to face him fully. I want to make it official. Not marriage necessarily. We can talk about that later. But I want to live together, actually together. One house, one life, no more crossing driveways. Which house? I was thinking we sell both. Buy something new. Something that's ours together, not yours or mine. A fresh start for all 3 of us. Ryan thought about his house, the one he'd shared with Sarah where Chloe had grown up, where every room held memories. Leaving it felt impossible, and also necessary. Okay, he said. Okay? Let's do it. Let's find our house. They spent the next month house hunting. It was exhausting and frustrating and surprisingly fun. Chloe came with them to viewings, declaring each one either too small or too boring or smells weird. They found it in late July, a house in Lincoln Park with a backyard and a finished basement and enough space for all of them. It needed work, but it had potential. More importantly, it felt right. This one, Chloe declared. This is our house. You sure? Ryan asked. Positive. It has a good kitchen, and my room would be huge, and there's space for Mom Vanessa's office. Vanessa and Ryan exchanged a look. I think she's made the decision for us, Vanessa said. They put in an offer that night. Packing up his old house was harder than Ryan expected. Every box revealed another memory. Chloe's baby clothes, Sarah's books, photos from a life that felt simultaneously recent and ancient. He found himself sitting on the floor of the bedroom he'd shared with Sarah, surrounded by half-packed boxes, crying. Vanessa found him there. Hey, she said gently. You okay? I don't know how to leave this. How to leave her. You're not leaving her, you're just changing addresses. Vanessa sat beside him. She's in Chloe. She's in your memories. She's in the stories you tell. Moving to a new house doesn't change any of that. It feels like it does. I know, but Ryan, you can't live in a museum. Sarah wouldn't want that for you. Or for Chloe. She was right. Ryan knew she was right. But knowing didn't make it easier. They moved in September. Friends helped. His parents, Vanessa's assistant, even Mrs. Patterson showed up with coffee and unsolicited advice. By evening, the new house was full of boxes and furniture in wrong places and possibility. Chloe claimed her room immediately, already planning where her posters would go. Vanessa set up her office. Ryan stood in the master bedroom, their bedroom, and tried to picture his life here. It's going to be weird at first, Vanessa said, appearing behind him. Yeah, but good weird, eventually. Eventually. That night they ordered pizza and ate sitting on the floor because they couldn't find the dining table. Chloe fell asleep on the couch mid-movie. Ryan carried her to her new room, tucked her into bed in a space that wasn't quite familiar yet. This is our life now, Vanessa said when he came back downstairs. How do you feel about that? Terrified. Happy. Overwhelmed. All of it at once. Same. They christened the new house properly that night, made love in their bedroom, in their space, with no ghosts or guilt or fear. Just them. Building something new on top of everything that had come before. The first few weeks were an adjustment. They learned each other's domestic habits. Vanessa was compulsively neat, Ryan was a disaster. Vanessa liked the house cold, Ryan liked it warm. Vanessa was a morning person, Ryan decidedly was not. They argued about stupid things, whose turn it was to do dishes, whether they needed a third bathroom, how to organize the garage. Normal couple stuff that felt monumental because it was the first time they'd done it. But they also developed new traditions. Sunday morning pancakes, Friday movie nights, Saturday farmers market runs. The rhythm of a life shared. Chloe thrived. Her room became a sanctuary decorated exactly how she wanted. She invited friends over, showed off the house, bragged about her 2 moms. She was happy in a way Ryan hadn't seen since before Sarah got sick. October brought Chloe's school fundraiser, a fancy gala that Ryan would normally skip. But Vanessa was on the organizing committee, and Chloe had begged them both to come. It's black tie, Vanessa warned. You'll need to rent a tux. I hate tuxes. I know, but Chloe wants us there together, as a family. The word still caught Ryan off guard sometimes. Family. But, yeah, that's what they were now. The gala was exactly as pretentious as Ryan feared: champagne and silent auctions, and people who took private school fundraising very seriously. But Vanessa was in her element, charming donors and organizing volunteers. And Chloe was beaming, introducing them to her teachers and friends' parents as my dad and my mom, Vanessa. Ryan watched his daughter work the room with Vanessa, watched them laugh together, watched Vanessa adjust Chloe's dress, and whisper something that made her giggle. This was his family, imperfect, blended, beautifully complicated. Mrs. Patterson appeared at his elbow. "You did good, Ryan Cole." "I got lucky." "Luck had nothing to do with it. You chose to try again. That takes courage. Or stupidity. Same thing sometimes." She clinked her glass against his. "To second chances. To second chances." November brought Thanksgiving again, their second as a couple, their first as a family living under one roof. Vanessa's mother came to town. So did Ryan's parents, and Sarah's parents, and half a dozen other relatives. "This is insane," Vanessa said the morning of, staring at the turkey she was attempting to cook. "Why did we agree to host? Because we have the biggest house." We should have lied about square footage. But the day came together, the house filled with noise and laughter and people who loved them. Ryan's mother and Vanessa's mother bonded over wine and shared stories about their impossible children. Linda Henderson helped Chloe set the table and told her stories about Sarah at that age. When it was time for the gratitude speeches, Chloe went first. "I'm grateful for my family," she said. "All of it. My grandparents and my dad and my mom, Sarah, who I miss every day, and my mom, Vanessa, who helps with homework and makes bad jokes. I'm grateful we all fit together now, even though it's weird sometimes." Ryan's throat tightened. Vanessa's hand found his under the table. "I'm grateful for second chances," Ryan said when it was his turn. "For the blind date I almost canceled. For the neighbor who became everything. For a daughter who's braver than I'll ever be. For a family that keeps growing in ways I never expected." Vanessa went last. "I'm grateful for this chaotic, messy, perfect family. For a man who saw past the CEO to the person underneath. For a daughter who taught me that love doesn't have limits or conditions. And for everyone here who made space for me when they didn't have to." There wasn't a dry eye at the table. That night, after everyone had left and Chloe was asleep and the kitchen was destroyed, Ryan and Vanessa collapsed on the couch. "We survived," Vanessa said. "Barely. Your mother told me she's planning our wedding." Ryan sat up. "What?" "Relax. I told her we'd get to it eventually. When we're ready." "Are we? Ready?" Vanessa was quiet for a moment. "I don't know. Are we?" Ryan thought about everything they'd been through: the blind date, the breakup, the reconciliation, meeting families, blending lives, building a home together. "Yeah," he said. "I think we are." "Is this a proposal?" "Maybe. I don't have a ring. This is the worst proposal ever." Vanessa laughed. "It's perfect. Very us." "So is that a yes?" "That's a, we'll talk about it when we're not exhausted from hosting Thanksgiving." "Fair enough." They talked about it 2 days later. Really talked. About what marriage meant to both of them, what they wanted, what scared them. Ryan worried about replacing Sarah. Vanessa worried about living up to an impossible standard. They both worried about screwing up something that already worked. "Here's what I know," Vanessa said finally. "I love you. I love Chloe. I love the life we've built. Marriage is just making it official." "Just?" "Okay, not just, but you know what I mean." Ryan did know. He pulled out the ring he'd been carrying for a week. Nothing extravagant, just a simple band with a small diamond. The kind of ring that said forever without screaming about it. "Vanessa Hart, will you marry me? For real this time, not hypothetically while exhausted on the couch?" She was crying and laughing at the same time. "Yes, absolutely yes." They told Chloe the next morning. She screamed and jumped around the kitchen and immediately started planning the wedding. "Can I be the flower girl? Can we have chocolate cake? Can I wear a princess dress?" "You're 9, Ryan said. "Aren't you too old for flower girl?" "I'm never too old for flower girl." They got married in May, almost 2 years after that first blind date. Small ceremony, just family and close friends. Chloe was indeed the flower girl, wearing a dress she'd picked out herself. Ryan's mother cried through the entire ceremony.
Vanessa's mother gave a toast about love finding you when you stop looking for it. Linda Henderson pulled Ryan aside during the reception. Sarah would have liked her, she said quietly. You think? I know. She would have wanted you to be happy. Both of you. Ryan hugged his former mother-in-law, grateful for her grace, for her ability to hold space for both grief and joy simultaneously. The reception was exactly what they'd wanted. Good food, bad dancing, speeches that made everyone laugh and cry. Chloe danced with Ryan, then with Vanessa, then insisted they all dance together. This is my family, she announced to anyone who would listen. All of it. Later, when the party was winding down and guests were leaving, Ryan found Vanessa on the back deck of the venue, looking at the city lights. You okay? He asked. More than okay. I'm happy, Ryan. Actually, genuinely happy. I didn't think I'd feel this again. Same. She turned to face him. I keep thinking about that night, the blind date. If you'd canceled, if I'd walked away when I saw it was you, how easily this could have never happened. But it did happen. It did. She kissed him softly. Thank you for not canceling. Thank you for staying. They went home that night, to their house, their bedroom, their life. Chloe fell asleep in the car and Ryan carried her inside, tucked her into bed. Vanessa was waiting for him in their room, still in her wedding dress. I love you, she said. I love you too. Even when I'm terrible at domestic things and work too much and make bad jokes? Especially then. She smiled. We did it. We actually made this work. We did. And the thing was, Ryan realized, it hadn't been easy. There had been fights and tears and moments when giving up seemed simpler than pushing through. There had been grief to navigate and families to blend and 1,000 small adjustments that felt monumental. But they'd done it anyway. They'd chosen each other again and again, in big ways and small ways. They'd built something real out of fear and hope and stubborn determination. Standing there in his bedroom with his wife, Ryan thought about the man he'd been 2 years ago, lonely, stuck, convinced his life was over. He'd almost canceled that blind date, almost let fear win. He was grateful he hadn't, because the truth was, sometimes life didn't wait for you to be ready. Sometimes it threw opportunities at you when you were still broken, still grieving, still convinced you didn't deserve good things. And you had to choose, grab onto those opportunities or let them pass by. Ryan had grabbed on. So had Vanessa. So had Chloe, in her own way. And together, they'd built something neither of them could have built alone. A family. Messy and imperfect and absolutely worth fighting for. The next morning, Ryan woke to find Vanessa already up, standing at the window in her bright red windbreaker, coffee in hand, watching their backyard. What are you doing? He asked. Just looking, thinking about everything that's happened, how different life looks now. Ryan joined her at the window. Their backyard was ordinary. Grass that needed mowing, a fence that needed repair, nothing special. But it was theirs. Any regrets? He asked. About marrying you? Not even one. She leaned against him. About that terrible first coffee? Maybe. He laughed. It was pretty bad. The worst. But everything after was worth it. Chloe appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Are you guys being gross and romantic again? Probably, Vanessa admitted. Can we have pancakes? We can have pancakes. They went downstairs together, all three of them, to make breakfast in the kitchen of the house they'd chosen together. The coffee was still terrible. The pancakes were slightly burnt. Chloe complained about having to set the table. It was ordinary and chaotic and absolutely perfect, because that's what family was. Not perfect moments or fairy tale endings, just people choosing each other, day after day, mess after mess, building something real out of all the broken pieces. Ryan looked at Vanessa across the table, watched her laugh at something Chloe said, and felt something settle in his chest. Peace. Contentment. The quiet certainty that he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Sometimes the right person was there all along, living next door, waiting for you to be ready to notice them. Sometimes second chances came disguised as blind dates you almost canceled. Sometimes healing looked like opening your heart even when every instinct screamed to keep it closed. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, life gave you the courage to try again. Ryan had tried. So had Vanessa. So had Chloe. And they'd found their way home to each other. Not because it was easy or perfect or destined, but because they'd chosen it every single day.